Hello, I'm Nick Nichols, and welcome to Canadian Resource Network. On today's show, we have 5 of Calgary's top reporters to give an insight into the sectors across Canadian resources in today's world. Looks like we have our agricultural expert, Cody, in the field. So, Cody, how has the impact of wildfires this year affected Canadian agriculture, and where can you see the industry going forward?
Thanks, Nick. Wildfires can affect farms by damaging infrastructure, while animals suffer from the lack of available water and loss of pasture and food. While fires also burn crop, smoke-induced cloud cover can protect crops from heat and UV rays. But when it comes to seeding, the crops need sunshine to grow. Similarly, intensifying volatility of extreme weather events because of climate change undermines any potential gains of the extended growing seasons warmer weather brings. As a significant industry, extensive research is being conducted to understand and address these challenges.
So, even though wildfires have affected Canadian agriculture, why are they so important?
Well, Canada's agri-food industry employs a whopping 2.1 million people, providing 1 in 9 Canadian jobs and generating over $135 billion annually. More specifically, primary agriculture consists of nearly 190,000 farms, boasting 4.7% average annual revenue growth. Increased consolidation and technological advancements have doubled the average farm size, with the top 10% of farms generating 2/3 of all revenue. By exporting to over 200 countries in 2021 for $82 billion, Canada has become the 5th largest exporter of agri-food and seafood, and is the top global producer and exporter of many products. While the US and China lead our export markets, Asia and Europe exports have grown 74% since 2012. As we navigate the challenges posed by wildfires and other factors, the resilience and innovation of Canada's agriculture community remains steadfast, ensuring the availability of nourishing food for all. Now back to you in the studio.
That's a great point of view, Cody. Now we're going to send it over to our mining expert, Cole. And the question on the top of my head would be, what does mining bring to Canada?
Thank you, Nick. When someone thinks about industries that excel in Canada, the first thought that comes up is oil and gas, but the mining industry also plays an important role in our economy. It employed 377,000 people directly in 2020 and close to 315,000 more people indirectly. Mining accounted for $105 billion toward Canadian GDP in 2019. This amount is very interesting, as there is currently plenty of advances happening in the industry that will allow for it to grow to an even larger amount.
Along with help in the economy, is there any main technological advances happening? And if so, what are the uses?
Mining has come a long way from the stereotypical image of mining that you would think of when you hear mining. Artificial intelligence is a major driver of the changes in mining strategies throughout the years. It has helped minimize costs, reduce environmental impact, and improve safety and reliability. AI allows the use of autonomous vehicles and equipment, which limits the need for human interaction in hazardous and remote environments. This is big for safety, as it shortens the time for an accident to occur.
Along with those technological advances, do you think there's a future to mining in Canada?
The future of mining is bright in Canada, with electric vehicles becoming a trend throughout the world. Canada is in a good position for this movement, as we hold the critical minerals required for manufacturing the batteries used in these vehicles. Canada has a vast reserve of lithium that ranks it as the 6th largest reserve in the world. With this large reserve that Canada is sitting on, it will be able to be a major player in the battery supply chain. Canada also holds the expertise that transfers very well into the mining of lithium from years of drilling for oil and gas. The International Energy Agency projects the demand for battery minerals could expand by 30 times by 2040, and Canada has an opportunity to fill some of this demand with the vast amount of resources that we are sitting on and the technical skills already possessed by the nation.
Very interesting stuff, Cole. Now we're going to send it out to the field to our energy expert, Kennedy. So Kennedy, what are the different kinds of energy that are used in Canada?
Thanks, Nick. And next we're going to get back into the energy sector, which includes a wide variety of sources such as renewables, hydro, electrical, oil and gas, and many more such as nuclear. Energy is important for our daily lives because it provides the tools that we need to sustain our activities, but it also needs to be continuously assessed for improvements in techniques and decreasing environmental impacts.
Although Canada provides many different forms of energy to its own country and the world, is there anything that can be damaging to the success of our energy sector?
Canada thrives when their energy sources are working at maximum efficiency, but unfortunately the work can be altered or interfered due to extreme weather situations. For example, Canada has been experiencing wildfires which vary in extremeness of damage every year. More recently, in 2023, the country witnessed one of the worst fire seasons to date. The wildfires halted per day hundreds of thousands of barrels and has caused significant revenue loss for the companies in the 2023 season. The continuation of fires has led to close to 30,000 people being evacuated from their homes to search for a safer area to stay. Once people were evacuated from their homes, their whole lives were affected, and that includes their jobs, which may contribute to the energy sector of Canada.
So what could be the potential problems if the energy companies are to shut down?
If our energy sector isn't producing, then many Canadians and others across the world who rely on Canadian energy are at risk. Working towards better goals of becoming net zero by 2050 will help reduce the extremeness of the wildfires and hopefully reduce the effect that those wildfires have on Canadian energy. Many companies in the energy sector have been working towards their goals of becoming net zero by 2050. For example, Secure Energy Services has a roadmap in which they discuss what they will be doing in the years leading up to 2050.
That's a great point on Energy Kennedy. Now we're going to send it to our fourth analyst in pipelines, to Braden. So Braden, why are pipelines so important across Canada?
With Canada being the fourth largest producer in oil and sixth in natural gas, pipelines are essential. Canada produces 4.5 million barrels of oil a day while also producing 172,000 cubes of natural gas annually. Using pipelines allows Canada to move large amounts safely across the country and into the United States. Pipelines have a 61 to 77% reduced GHG emissions and only 1% of greenhouse gases compared to rail. It is 4.5 times safer to transport an oil through a pipeline over rail, as it would take 4,200 rail cars per 3.4 million barrels of oil. They are also essential to the economy, as in 2022, for every million barrels of oil that flowed through the pipelines, it translated to 23 million in GDP, 36.5 million in direct and indirect Canadian jobs, while also adding 6.5 million to labor income.
That's a lot of numbers, Braden. But the real question Canadians have is, does Canada need more pipelines?
Over the last 20 years, oil and natural gas pipelines have gained much more attention across North America and have attracted a significant amount of criticism because of the concern about the impact that expanding the fossil fuel industry will have on climate change. Canada still depends heavily on pipelines to move oil and natural gas, but many other sources of energy also depend on pipelines. Expanding pipeline infrastructure allows Canada to access a broader range of international markets for its energy exports. Currently, the country heavily relies on the United States as its main exportation destination, but building new pipelines can enable access to other markets in Asia, Europe, and other regions, reducing dependency on a single market and potentially increasing revenue.
Very interesting stuff, Braden. So now we're going to send it over to our fifth and final expert, Avery with forestry. So Avery, can you just tell us a little bit about forestry?
Thanks, Nick. Canada's forest industry has three main subsectors that contribute $35 billion in Canada's nominal GDP. Of the three subsectors, wood product manufacturing leads the way at $19.8 billion, pulp and paper manufacturing at $9.7, and forestry and logging at $5.2. Within the three subsectors, there are six product categories that have contributed to a $19 billion increase of forest product exports in the last decade. Of these six product categories, softwood lumber, other forest products, and structural wood panel exports have increased in the last decade. Wood pulp has remained constant, whereas newsprint and printing and writing paper have decreased.
So good news for the industry, but bad news for news. Other than the low demand for some traditional products, what other challenges does the industry face?
The industry's markets are cyclical, so with each year comes new challenges. However, there are three threats that are recurring, natural, and at times uncontrollable. Each of these disturbances can have an impact on forest composition, timber supply, and fire risk. The first is disease, the second is insects, and the third is wildfires. Wildfires can reduce air quality, force evacuations, and cause delays in harvesting. The wildfires in Canada have now burned over 12 million hectares year to date, setting records as the most land burned in Canada's history. Disease, insects, and wildfire disturbances under normal circumstances are an important part of the natural regeneration and regrowth cycle of forests. However, when out of control, they can have a ripple effect through all subsectors of Canada's forestry industry, as we've seen most prominently with the wildfires in the last few months.
That is some very interesting facts and knowledge spread by our experts from each sector. I'd like to thank them for their time and giving us the insight on what the future looks like in Canada. It's all the time we have for today, as I have to train for my half marathon, but as Rennie and Alan would say, the future's bright for Canadian resources.